Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We see we have 4 people on there now, Jim.
There you go.
This is, as I've said in my post last night, we are doing a little live broadcast. I am in the beautiful and idyllic setting down by Jim's house in Portugal Cove, I guess is where we are.
We're in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's today, the beautiful community of Portugal Cove, St. Philip's.
So just as an introduction to this, Jim and I have been chatting about a whole bunch of different things. I've met Jim in advertising circles, and we said to each other, you know, why don't we do a test? So here we are today, and we're going to talk a little bit about on this Facebook Live event, entrepreneurship, sales, and community. But before we do that, I just want to introduce Jim to my Facebook friends. And I'm sure, you know, on your page, Jim, you know, most people know who you are. They should. But I just want to read a little bit about, you know, what Jim, his bio, and just give you guys an indication of the type of individual Jim is. And it's interesting to me because I'm passionate about sales and entrepreneurship. And I'll tell you a little bit about me in a second. But anyway, I'm just going to read this to you because I think it's important for those who don't know who Jim is. Jim Burton has been successfully selling real estate in St. John's for over 30 years. He obtained his FRI, which is Fellow of the Real Estate Institute.
It is, yeah.
In 1996 from the Real Estate Institute of Canada, and the MVA, Market Value Appraiser Residential, from the Canadian Real Estate Association in 1998. So think about that. You know, he's been active in the real estate industry for 30 years. The insights that he has into this community from a business perspective are phenomenal. So I really look forward to talking to him about that. He's founder of the Jim Burton sales team in 1998, past and current facilitator of the real estate education and motivational courses for realtors in the St. John's area. This will take a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, because
Wait, you can shorten it up, Gerry.
Shorten it up, okay. Yeah. Jim's getting uncomfortable here.
Yeah.
You know, he's host of the Real Estate Radio Show on VOCM. He's done a lot in terms of producing top teams within the real estate industry. So that's the real estate side. He is also owner of Igloo Lake Lodge, one of Newfoundland and Labrador's trophy brook trout, Northern Pike fly fishing lodges. We're going to get into the inspiration, Jim, as to how you got into that stuff in a second. But I think it's really important to paint the picture of what it is Jim does. And last night, if anyone watched me, I had my little fella in there. He's 9 years old. When I said that you fly planes, he lit up. So he also owns a seasonal airline called Northeastern Sky Services Limited. And in terms of community, this is what really, really intrigues me about Jim. Jim is currently chairperson of the board of directors of Hope Air, chairperson of the Liberal Party of Canada. He's an advisory board member of the Salvation Army, past director of the Rotary Club of St. John's, past member of the board of directors of the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. Honestly, I'm not going to read all of those things. You can go on Jim's website, infinitynl.ca, and look up his bio. But I think from a community perspective, I've seen you around so many events, and
you've done a lot too, Gerry. You're doing YMCA. You've been very involved in your community.
Yes, I mean,
great things, man.
It was fun to be part of the YMCA, and I did meet, and you helped do that. But I think one of the things that I think is really, really important is giving back to the community, and Jim does that in spades. So from if you don't know who I am, and if you're on Jim's page and you're not my friend on Facebook, where we're cross-promoting these on our pages, my name is Gerry Carew. I've been 25 years in advertising sales in St. John's. I've had the unique opportunity of traveling around Atlantic Canada. At one point, I was running sales for TC Media in Saskatchewan from the digital perspective. Just a point, though, I want to say is that the Memorial University Business School is a phenomenal institution, and the inspiration for taking a sales career for me, Jim, came from someone kind of like yourself came into our class and started to talk about sales, and sales being the engine that drives the economy. Yeah. And I can tell you that person inspired me and motivated me right then and there. You know what I said to myself? I want to be part of that engine.
Yeah.
So, there was a little bit of a debate because a lot of students want to be marketers.
Yeah.
But there's one thing to be a marketer, it's another thing to be a salesperson and go out cold call and stuff like that. So anyway, that's where, the impetus for this came from. When I also shoot wedding videos on the side and paid my way through university doing that. And I can tell you the evolution of technology, which I think we'll touch on today, You know, I used to shoot big cameras with VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And I would have to print labels and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
So today, what Jim and I are doing, I'm controlling this from my iPhone using what's called a Mevo camera. Isn't that amazing?
It is, you know what, it's incredible. We brought in a bunch of gear to set up for here this morning, and the camera was about the size of well, it's not even as big as a pack of cigarettes. It's smaller than your iPhone, Gerry.
It is.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where let's just start right off. You know, Jim, you are where did your career start? What was it you started at? You know, and at what point did you say to yourself, I am going to break through and start working for myself? Let's start there.
Well, that's a great question. And first and foremost, thank you so much for the opportunity to team up with you today and share some thoughts on entrepreneurship and sales and our community. I guess, you know, you when you are around people that inspire you and do great things in their community and achieve things in their life that you know that are important, I think that inspires others to. And for me, living in a household with an incredible father and mother who did good in their community, and my dad was a strong entrepreneur. So when I look back at my life, I think that's where it all happened. I think it happened in you know, in those four walls of being nurtured and by my incredible father and my mother, about doing good and giving it your all, giving it, you know, the best effort possible, no matter what you're going to go at. There's no, you know, there's nothing wrong with falling down and getting back up and trying again. You know, in life, you need to, when we evolve to a certain level, we always have experiences of having to retry things, rework it. So really, I think it happened for me in my home. It all started in my home, watching my dad being an entrepreneur, a self-made businessman, and being inspired by him and watching him do good in his life, and then watching him become that individual who cared for his family and gave his family everything, which was, you know, I wanted to duplicate that to my children. So I think really it all happens in the home, and we have, as parents, an obligation, and grandparents as an obligation, to inspire our children to go out and do good in the community and give it their all in their occupation.
So I got a question related to that. You know, your dad inspired you. Did you become an entrepreneur at the age of like 15, 16, 17, or did you work for someone else for a period of time? And so I'm trying to delve into when did the breakthrough, the absolute, say, I'm out on my own, happen? Did it happen from the beginning, or were you working for someone else at a point?
I don't think there was a magic wand as such, Gerry, to say, well, this was one moment in my childhood or my teens that, you know, made me think I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think it's all the little things that add up, and then it becomes a point in your life where you're, wow, you know, I want to try this. I think I can be good at this. So going out and shoveling people's driveways, asking to help people rake up their lawn, doing things around the neighborhood as a young man, delivering papers. I mean, there was no internet growing up when I was growing up. I mean, it was people got the paper delivered to their home. So all these little things you did to create some extra income, well, that was a great feeling. Looking into your bank account and saying, watch that grow, and then take something out and to, you know, buy something from it that would help you get that much further ahead. So I think really back as a child, you look at those things and you think about them, and I think that was really what spawned the entrepreneurship. Not discounting the fact that you want to be, as you know, as you mentioned last night, I am a pilot. I've been flying for 40 years. So when I graduated high school, I went straight to flight school, and from there I had you know, the wonderful pleasure and very privileged to be able to say I was a pilot with flying up and down Labrador and on the coast of Labrador, meeting wonderful people, delivering mail. And
when did you first start as a pilot? When did you get your license? At what point?
Well, I finished high school at 16 and went straight to flight school. So at 18, I was flying a water bomber, co-pilot, here in got trained in St. John's. Checked it on the airplane, and there's not a day I go by Paddy's Pound and I don't think about the day that myself and the gentleman that was flying, checking me out, went in and we landed on Paddy's Pound, flying low over the highway. So then going to Labrador and flying to Twin Otter on the Labrador coast for 7 years, and then coming to St. John's as a young boy from Labrador, and flying the air ambulance. I was 26 years old, flying the air ambulance all over Newfoundland, Labrador, and back and forth to Montreal and Toronto.
So who were you working for at that
That was the
point?
Newfoundland government then,
Right.
flying with the Newfoundland government, the air ambulance, Department of Health. And I had a lot of time off. I mean, we were only flying then 5-6 hours a week, and most of it was after midnight. So I had a lot of free time, and then I went out and I was passing by the Century 21 office, every day. I mean, back in 1985, 86, and then I went in and I wrote my license, and I got my first job was with Herman Norris, Dave Norris, and Don, and their beautiful mother Norma. We had a lot of fun there, and that was the first year. And from there, I just branched off and went out, and that was in another month it'll be 30 years. So yeah, so that's where that all happened. And
So you continued to fly, but you also did some real estate sales as well.
well, because there was no. I mean, I was flying 5 to 7 hours a week. It depended on the week, but it wasn't a lot of flying at that time. Now they're doing much more. But I had an opportunity to spend 50 60 hours a week selling real estate. So I went, I went at it as I was taught by my parents as a child to go at it with everything. You're all into it. Give it your best energy. And I was, in my first year, Don and David, great people, Herman, great mentorship. And I worked hard. And I think in my first year in St. John's, I sold 26 homes. And I didn't know how to get to Signal Hill. I mean, I grew up in Goose Bay. There wasn't even a signal light on the streets in Goose Bay. But I came to St. John's as a 26, 27-year-old man who I had to go knocking on doors. I had to do the things to, that quite frankly, as an entrepreneur, you have to get, sometimes you're not comfortable unless you're uncomfortable. So you had to do the things, put energy into it to see the success. And each year from there.
Well, it's an interesting point, Jim. In terms of flying, and the technology that changes, and just the confidence level that you have to have a machine that's going to take you from point A to point B. I always think about different businesses. Like the restaurant business. That always kind of wow. You hear the restaurant entrepreneurs talk about getting slammed when all the people show up. For someone like yourself, so the real estate business. When it comes to actually charging people to get on a machine like you have, and then that's a big leap to take on a business that has a plane, like a machine like that. So, how excited were you? And just give us a little bit of an idea as to how did that come about? How did your dad had the lodge? Is that how that worked? And then you took it over, or did you start it with him? Just give us a bit of background on that.
I think being a pilot. A commercial airline transport rated pilot, I think for all pilots, I mean, they have a checklist that we follow when we get in an airplane. And I think in life it's important to have a checklist. And it's, for me, following a rigid checklist and flying your ambulance or the Twin Otter or the water bomber, you use that checklist, a checklist in life that prepares you and helps you navigate, really, doesn't it? So, from my dad, I mean, I think the energy and enthusiasm of being an entrepreneur and watching him, and then I think of no better, there's no better feeling, I think, of watching other businesses become successful, and from that are family operated. The torch being passed on to the next generation. I think that's so cool. So with my dad operating the fishing lodge business and being with him and traveling around the world and promoting our family-owned business and promoting tourism in Newfoundland Labrador, that's a special calling. And I think anytime you can promote where you're from, it's important for us we have a duty to do that. So and the resource that we have, and in protecting that, and like we do at Igloo Lake Lodge right now. I mean, we're good stewards not only of the environment, Gerry, but also for the resource. And we're now lobbying the provincial government to make this area a total catch and release. There's thousands of lakes in Newfoundland and Labrador. Have one, just one, that's catch and release. We're not killing any fish. We haven't for 15 years in that location. And the fish are growing larger because of it. It's isolated, and it helps us really with retention when it comes to tourism and helping people that have that experience to keep coming back. That are from the United States. And last year we had 130 people visit that location from all over the world. And for the most part, I would think that 70% of them will come back. And that's good for the people that run the restaurants in Goose Bay. It's good for the airline business. It's good for the hotels. It's good for the employment of the guides. Tourism in Newfoundland and Labrador next year is projected to bring in over $1 billion. $1 billion to the economy. Over 10% of the people in Newfoundland and Labrador are employed through tourism. So it's a big engine. It's a big part of our economy. That's one of those positive things.
Yeah.
So being a part of that, it's an incredible feeling. I just love being able to be involved with the fishing lodge business in the summer months, and I get to spend the whole summer with my dad. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah,
He'll be 83 in January, and he comes along, and my uncle, who's 79 from Glovertown, he lives in Cambridge now, Calvin, is the camp manager, and we surround ourselves around some of the special staff that we have that are exceptional people, which I think is, as an entrepreneur, is critical to have the right people in your business. I mean, the Remax Infinity operation with Terry Jones as the manager broker, and Ted Williams, the gentleman that's our assistant manager, Team Burton, and all the people that are on the team, and those that are as independent contractors in our office. I mean, we have a very special thing happening at Remax Infinity in Conception Bay South, growing rapidly in a community that's growing. It's an exciting time right now. It's an exciting time in Newfoundland and Labrador right now. Quite frankly, we're in a growth mode in our office. We just invested, a lot of money in that area, and have a state-of-the-art, high technology location on Conception Bay Highway. It's easy for the customer. When you think about your business, you should be thinking about what's easy for the customer, what's easy for the realtor that's going to be operating in that location. So, keeping up with the changes, and thinking as an entrepreneur, like 10 years out. Where do I want to be 10 years from now? How do I bring my business to that level? And what do I have to be doing to evolve and adapt? So if it's the fish lodge business, if it's the real estate business, whatever business you're in, you need to be constantly massaging it. Because the way we do business 6 months from now will be different than we're doing it today. So, and I'm reminded of Charles Darwin's quote of that is not the strongest species that's going to be able to survive in the future, but it's the species that's able to adapt to the change. And I think in business, that's a great quote. I mean, we need to be always adapting to the change.
Well, in my own experience, so as I said, I've been shooting videos for almost 30 years. I shot videos, Jim, on VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Some of the younger people that we're friends with on Facebook may not even know what that is,
No.
But I remember when I did editing, I used to have to, if I had a 2-hour VHS tape, I would have to fast forward on that tape to get to a point where I could figure out, or a point where I want to edit. Then I'd have to take a pen, mark down the actual time. Yeah. It was an incredibly time-consuming thing.
Yeah.
So, my basement has probably got, I don't know, maybe 1,000 VHS tapes that take up an entire room. I can actually put all of that now on a USB stick. So just think about that.
Yeah, it's
talking about change.
Change, yeah. I recently was down cleaning up my basement and doing some things with just getting cleansing and making sure that there's nothing around. But anyway, going through some family things, and I found some VHS tapes of my children when they were little, and I went and had them transferred over to a small little, as you mentioned, ScanDisk, I guess I'm looking for little memory.
Yeah, memory stick.
And I emailed it to them, and it was hilarious. I mean, they were 30 years ago, right? But that was the technology then.
Yeah.
And then but look at the changes we've seen. I mean, in our lifetime, I mean, we had this thing that came into our business life called the fax machine. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was an incredible invention.
Well, that was incredibly important in the sales life that I led, in terms of advertising.
Yeah.
To communicate with you as an advertiser 20 years ago and show you an ad that you were running, we had to put it through a fax machine.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Oh yeah, but it was pretty magical. I mean, you put this little piece of paper in a fax machine and it would go through the phone line and into someone else's fax machine. It was almost magical.
It was.
And then we had this thing come along in the 90s called the internet. And that was just incredible. I mean, the way that we were now transforming and evolving as a business. And here we are today, social media. Facebook has been around, 10 years?
You know what, I got 10, maybe 12 if that.
Okay, so I mean, there we are. And here we are now today, in our home, right here in Portrait Cove, St. Philip's, talking to you live via social media on Facebook. I mean, that's incredible. The leaps and bounds we've actually done in our as humankind has been incredible, right? And it keeps evolving. We're keeping evolving.
Well, I think that's a good point, and in my life as an advertising person, I'm throwing myself into the digital age. We as business people need to adapt to the changes, and it's dramatic how much it's changed for all of us. I noticed a comment. I want to make a point that anyone who's watching this and wants to ask us a question or make a comment, I appreciate that, and we really encourage it. Alan Gale, he's actually a good friend of mine, really interesting guy, spent time in the Navy and is now working with the University of PEI, lives in PEI. Alan made a really cool comment here. Just about every day I encourage young engineering students to go out and make jobs. The students tell me they will work for Tesla for free. I tell them to stop. They are the commodity, not Tesla. Tesla would be lucky to have them. Never underestimate yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
And adaptability is key. Now, he asks, can you ask Jim to comment on the importance of a solid relationship between industry, government, and academia? That's a question from Alan.
Well, I think it's important also as we evolve, we need to be all together, and especially in Newfoundland and Labrador right now, we need to be all together and thinking about ways that we can evolve to the next level so that it's beneficial to the stakeholder, which happens to be the taxpayers of Newfoundland and Labrador. So what can we do, as an example to Alan's question, what can we do right now in our province as we evolve to the next level? I mean, maybe we need to be working, maybe industry it needs to be working closer with government, which I'm seeing now happen, in helping, in being creative and innovative for perhaps, hospitals, for example. Should government, and I personally think they should, be working with industry to have industry build the building, and maybe government go in and lease the building. So the government hasn't got, so this is an example of industry and government working together. A change that needs to happen. So government will operate, in this example, a hospital, whether it's the in Western Memorial in Corner Brook or the Waterford Hospital on Waterford Bridge Road here in St. John's. Private industry will come in and build it, but the government will lease it back, and the government will operate it as normal with their civil service. But we need to be changing. We need to be doing things that's beneficial for the taxpayer. And never before in history, right now, have we got to be creative. We've got to be innovative. I think the government has had some interesting opportunities for industry to get involved. The way forward, that was a month or two ago at the rooms that the Premier had, and brought the industry and academia together to discuss this. Ways forward. How can we evolve to a level that's going to make it less burden on the taxpayer? We've got to be creative. We've got to be innovative. We've got to be discussing this very openly. And I think all provinces need to be doing that. And in particular, I think we're seeing the federal government do that. So as we go forward, you'll see things change, I think, for the betterment of the provinces and for the Canadian people. We're evolving. And never before has there been an opportunity for us to work closer together. Very important.
Yeah, I appreciate those comments. The other thing, in terms of academia, I did a business degree, and you'll find this interesting, Jim. Sometimes when I want inspiration, and in sales, you can have a period of time where you're in a little bit of a drought. What I would often do if I felt like I wasn't closing the sales as much as I would like, I would actually go back to my roots. And my roots were at the Munn Business Building. So what I would do in the middle of the day was park my car in the parking lot, go into the Munn Business School. Sometimes if there was a free classroom, I would sit down in that classroom. And I graduated from Munn Business School in 1992, so that's a significant time ago. What is that, 24 years ago? Yeah. But I would sit there and think about the dreams. I would try to reconnect with what it was that I was thinking about back then as a young 20-something-year-old, So from a connection of academia, and I see a lot of my classmates in various positions around this community of leadership. And, I'm proud of being part of the Munn Faculty of Business.
And so you should.
And engineering. I mean, some of the people coming out of engineering, Emad Riscala and the stuff that he's done with his business.
Very bright students that have graduated from Moore University and have gone on to do extremely well in their lives and as entrepreneurs and in their community. I mean, we've and that's something that is a legacy, and to look back and see that, and for others to duplicate and try and do good in their business life, and at the same time do good in their community. I think as entrepreneurs, we need to understand that we have to expect the unexpected, and that's a change wants to happen, and you need to be adapting to that, but expecting the unexpected. And I think it's a part of being persistent, and also a part of being patient. It's about matrix. It's about looking at your finances, understanding the revenue and the expenses, right? It's about as an entrepreneur, you become a leader in your company, and you need to be showing recognition. Is very important. Having people around you that you trust and you like, and you respect, very important. And if you're going to be operating a business, is the like and the trust and the respect. And I don't, quite frankly, I've been very fortunate in all my life. I've had people around me that I like and I trust and I respect. I mean, all my business partners fit that category in the past, and they will in the future.
As you were talking, I was thinking, in terms of Alan's question, and he says, excellent, thank you. I think about high school. My wife's is a junior high teacher. My wife's a junior high teacher. And I think about the young people today. One of the challenges that in my 25 years of sales, and I'm in sales management now, but I'm still tied into the performance. Yeah. It's a job that you perform or you don't make a living.
Yeah. Pay by performance. I mean, that's where it is. I mean,
how do we get the young people to think that way, though? As opposed to being in school, let's say you're 12, you're 13, you're 14. How do we inspire those young people to think about a way of sales is an incredible springboard to entrepreneurship, because you're not an entrepreneur, Jim, unless there's sales happening. Right?
You're making things happen. I think encouraging the children, inspiring them to go out and do little chores. I mean, how exciting is it as an adult to drive around town and see these little Kool-Aid stands? As a child, collecting money, and the parents there, helping them. And how can you not stop and buy a glass of Kool-Aid lemonade from a little entrepreneur that's 7 or 8 or 9 years old? So encouraging the children to do those kind of projects, and as they get older, I mean, go shovel the driveway. I mean, and sometimes it's about shoveling the driveway and not expecting anything back. Who is it in my neighborhood that's a senior and needs a bit of help? Well, I go out and I'm going to do good. I'm going to feel good about myself. I want to go out and do something great in my community. I want to help others. Raking up leaves in the community and helping, being involved in church groups or, the CLB down on Military Road. I mean, what a great organization for leadership. Getting kids involved and getting them out and Mark Garneau once said, Canada's first astronaut, who he's an incredible gentleman, and he said, he told me, Jim, always be curious and have passion. Curious because discovery excites us, and passion because it inspires those around us. So I think it's important for the children to be curious, and to be thinking of ways that they can help others. Being happy is important in life. I think, and I think the definition I heard of happiness back from a gentleman in 1850, it's such an inspiring definition of happiness. Those are only happy who have their minds fixed on an object other than their own happiness. So really, going out and doing good in your community and helping others, fixing your mind on thoughts of how I can do good in my community. Who says I can't do that? You watch me do that. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make this happen. And being around like-minded individuals that together, collectively, you want to do good in your community. There's some exciting things happening right now in our charity world. I mean, an organization like Hope Air that I am extremely privileged to be a part of. It's an organization that's the only charity in the country that provides non-emergency flights for low-income Canadians. And we had over 1,500 families in 2015.
You're the chair of the board, are you not, of that? Is that the role?
Yeah, I'm a director with Hope Air, and I'm currently chair of the board. It's a wonderful organization based in Toronto. We have over 100 volunteers. We have many staff in downtown Toronto that receive calls every hour from people looking for transportation. And the average household income from these people is $28,000. Household income is $28,000. So being a part of that organization, and this year, our 30th anniversary in Canada, moved over 110,000 people, Gerry, in 30 years.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and the need is great. So we need to be stretching our minds. We need to be challenging ourselves as directors on how we can keep up with the need. So we're constantly doing that, So but the people that sit at that table, the 12 directors, are always trying to do things with strategy. How can we get to that level? How are we going to achieve this? And that, with mentoring with the executive director, and setting forth a plan that works. Trying.
Well, yeah, touching on service to community. I'll tell you one quick story from my perspective. When I was on the Y board as a director, not the chair, eventually became chair, but I remember youth. This one person came in, she was probably 15 or 16, and the Y has a stream of youth leadership.
Yeah.
And you know what? She told the board a story, how her parents were, one was addicted to alcohol, the other one was alcohol and drugs. And every day she went home, her parents were completely wasted out of their minds.
Oh.
Can you imagine?
That's terrible.
And she told us a story that the YMCA in St. John's, was the experience she had, gave her hope. It was the only bit of hope she ever thought of or ever experienced. And Hope Air brought that story back to my mind. Yeah. So at that point, Jim, I became an evangelical member of the YMCA board and eventually became chair. Wow. But hope, that's what the youth of the day, and what worries me about the economy being a little bit contracting is it's pretty easy, isn't it, to become a little negative about everything that's going on around. What I like about what you're doing, you're building something new in an economy that is challenged.
Yeah. So, I think you have to have a plan. You need to be thinking like 10, 15 years out. Where do I want to be? How do I want to achieve these goals? And what people do I want to align myself with? And I think as entrepreneurs, we need to be, thinking about, the Rotary four-way test. I mean, great example of leading your business life, leading your personal life. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all parties concerned? Does it bring goodwill to the table and create a better friendship? And is it beneficial to all parties concerned? That, if you can answer those questions at anything you're going to do in life, that to me brings the word integrity to mind. And I think people want to associate themselves and align themselves with people that bring a predictability of a favorable outcome. Like if someone's going to call me to go to the fishing lodge business, or they want some real estate advice, then I think they can be rest assured that they're going to have a pleasant experience. And that's what my life is about. Creating memories for people to that provide that predictability of a favorable outcome. You do that by aligning yourself with the right people. If there's one thing I can say right now to any young person out there is get a mentor. Align yourself with someone who is an established, credible leader in the community, and run ideas by them. I think it's important for children, and I watched my little nephew over the years get involved with Lego, and I watched him do some amazing things with Lego. He's dreaming. He's making things happen. He's a doer of deeds. He gets something in his mind, he puts it together. Now he's artistically doing things, on paper, and I'm thinking, wow, this young boy has got some great parents. I'm talking about young Vincent, my brother Rob, and his beautiful wife Kim, and they have 2 beautiful kids, Vincent and Maria. Both those children are living in a household that, they're being inspired and encouraged to try new things, and they're destined for great things because of the environment they're in. And sometimes we don't have that happening in all households, but it's important for us with the YMCA and the CLB. These organizations go out and children get involved and they change. They change because they're inspired to try new things. They're inspired to do things in a group setting that creates leadership. I think it's important for us to be able to go out and try and inspire people to do the things that inspire them. Inspire people to do the things that inspire them. And being a leader that you become, that those of us that are involved in our businesses and in charities, we're really coaches. We go out and we help people achieve things that they don't think they can actually achieve. So it's helping them with goal setting. It's helping, in real estate, for example, right? We need to be adapting to the change and bringing that value proposition back to our individual agents that makes them feel good about themselves, and at the end of the day, helps them help their families grow and provide, good things because of the energy and the goal setting that they've achieved. So I think, and that's always evolving. We're talking about at RE/MAX Infinity now doing some really cool things on podcasts. We're going to have a state-of-the-art office within the office that gives us an opportunity to bring people in and do podcasts. And that's exciting. That got me exciting. And I'm at 57 years old. I like to be, stimulating myself, stretching my mind. And the space that's between my left ear and right ear growing all the time, making things happen. And I have to say to you that, in the fish camp business, relationships have been incredible opportunity. And I have to thank my dad being an owner of 3 fishing lodges and having the confidence to pass the torch to me. And myself and my wife Dara got involved in the fish camp business, and we paid our dad with all the debt that we owed him, and then we've done some other things now with Igloo Lake. But when you think of the people that you associate with in a fishing lodge business, we had Jean Chrétien into the lodge. Yeah. For 5 days, I sat down, had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with that man. What an incredible Canadian. And what a privilege it was to sit down with him at the table and to go fishing with him. It's like Plato said, you learn more about a person in a half-hour play than you do a year of conversation. And I think
on that point, Jim, this is an incredible province, when you think about it.
When
I graduated from business school, I had the incredible opportunity to go up to Pax Harbor, Labrador, which you probably know. It was an incredible experience. What they were doing back in 1993 was lassoing icebergs and actually bringing them up against this big metal measuring device that they had screwed into a sheer face cliff.
Yeah.
And I was videotaping it. But the point about that was, what I was amazed at is I could not get over this province, because I'll tell you, I actually took a car ride to Lewisport.
Yeah.
Then I got in the ferry, and we ran into some rough weather going from Lewisport up to Cartwright.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't remember how long, but I think it was like maybe a 12-hour boat ride because the winds were buffeting us.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? Back then, I was in my early 20s. I couldn't believe this province. My first time in Labrador. Yeah. I think you've had an incredible...
I grew up in Labrador.
Yeah, I know.
My 2 daughters were born in Labrador. I go back to Labrador every summer. To me, Labrador's home. I love Labrador. I move back to Labrador tomorrow.
Yeah.
I love Labrador. I spend my summers there. You know, some of the best destinations on this planet are in our own backyard. The Torngat Mountains. For anybody out there, just Google the Torngat Mountains. The Nutzevac group of companies operate a base camp up there in Sagalak, and that is an amazing destination. I was in Africa this past summer in August, and I went to the Tornagats at the end of August, and I'll tell you, there's 300 polar bears in this area, estimated to be 300 polar in our province. Large Arctic chars swimming up these pristine brooks that are like bathtub water. They have the cultural experience, of the Aboriginals that are there, and they share, that whole part of their community with people that visit. So inspiring to be in that area. So there's lots of destinations that would be, in our province that you don't have to go on. You don't have to leave the province to go on vacation. And we're seeing now Americans that are coming this year, and this is a bargain for them. 30 cents on the dollar. This is a great destination, I mean, people that would come fishing with me, our rate is $44.95. Now they're looking at booking, and it's probably $3,000 to come here. It's actually cheaper to come here now than it is, much cheaper than it is for them to go to Alaska because of the exchange rate.
Well,
and by the way, I don't want to interrupt you, but the culture and the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, I mean, are unparalleled in this country, as far as I'm concerned. I'm from here and maybe being a little prejudiced in that. But we have, we are a very vigilant and resilient group of people that do good in our community, and we're fun to be around. I mean, it's we're very musically inclined. We have a deep rooted fishery background. That we go out and we have fun and we've been able to adapt. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians have adapted well to the change over the years.
Yeah.
It's incredible, really, when you look at our province.
When I was in Labrador in 92, 93 I think it was what an experience for me. It was incredible. And at that time, I'll never forget it, there was a phone system, I guess, that you could listen in on the calls.
Yeah.
And Norman Schwarzkopf was there at the time I was there. Yeah. I didn't meet him, but I guess Craig Dobbin had him. He had George Bush was there.
George Bush was there, yeah.
And a bunch of others, in the political sphere. And it was really intriguing to me. Here they are, these leaders, world leaders, were converging on Labrador, and that was 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's part of our resources, right? People come here for the fishery, and in that journey, how many people have actually come here and have fallen in love with our communities? I had a gentleman and his wife from Denver that were coming back and forth to our fishing lodge in Labrador, and they actually decided to do a tour of Newfoundland before they came to Labrador for a week fishing in northern Labrador. And he came to the airport. I talked to him on Wednesday, and he said, Jim, I'll see you at the Goose Airport on Saturday for the trip to Flowers River on Sunday. And when I met him at the airport Saturday, Gerry, he had bought a home in 28. He just fell in love with Newfoundland and Labrador. And the people, the culture, the people that, and the way that we make people feel. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians have a way of reaching out and touching people's hearts. And I think that's quite significant when you think about everywhere you go on the globe. It's like people love Newfoundland and Labrador, and they can't get enough of it. And that to me speaks highly of who we are as a people.
Well, I'll tell you one quick story. I'm in business school, and this young man from Malaysia, who I befriended, was over to my mom's house for supper.
Yes.
And I grew up in the East End of St. John's, and we're standing on her steps. And when you look out, you look towards Memorial University. It's on a bit of a high, not a plateau, but it's high enough where you can see the city.
Yeah.
And we were standing there, and he looked out, and he waved his arm, and he said, Gerry, he said, where I'm from, I think it's Kuala Lumpur. He said, it's wall-to-wall people.
Yeah.
He said, here in Canada, what I see is space.
Yeah.
And riches, and I was like, wow,
Yeah, it's so we have a lot to be very proud of, and I think the optimism that we need to be sharing with others is important. I mean, we're in You know, we're in a bit of a valley right now in our economy, but you know, we still have a lot of great things to be celebrating in our province. And I think, you know, tourism is one as we go forward. I think there's still some good investment happening too in our province. I've gone out and I've invested heavily in my new RE/MAX office. I'm still investing heavily in my tourism operation out of Igloo Lake Lodge. You know, so what do I see? I see Newfoundland and Labrador as a place that is you know, is a great future, and I think others. I mean, Statoil, Husky. I mean, they're investing heavily in offshore exploration. There's 3 rigs next year going to be operating in the you know, off our shore here, and that's, you know, that speaks well of what they think of what's ahead for Newfoundland and Labrador. I really, you know, the fishery. You know, the fishery that's happening right now, the low dollar, that's good. That's coming back. So there's a lot of great things happening in Newfoundland and Labrador. I think we've got we still have a very good real estate market. You know, our sales, unit sales are only down by 5%, and our pricing that we see in our real estate industry right now is about 6% less our average selling price, which doesn't mean the market's down 6%. It just means that there's more sales between probably $200,000 and $300,000, whereas before we had more sales probably north of $400,000. So again, change, adapting to that change, and making things happen. I think putting energy into your life, you know, getting out and having goals. Sometimes it means changing and creating habits. When you get involved in sales, as you know, you have to start, you know, creating these habits that make successful salespeople who they are. And you got to do things. You got to, you know, coming home as a realtor, as an entrepreneur. I don't come home at night at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then watch TV till 9:30, 10 o'clock, go to bed. I work, but for me, it's a passion. It's not work. I enjoy it. You know, but having a very patient spouse is an incredible thing if you're an entrepreneur, and I've been blessed with that. My wife is an exceptional lady, and she, quite frankly, is my voice of reason. And a lot of the decisions that are made right here, by the way, in this room, in my life, when it comes to business. And she's a very big part of that. So teamwork, having a very understanding spouse, and I'm sure you can claim that, Gerry. I mean, that's a big part of your life, having a wonderful woman in your life that gives you the positive enthusiasm to go forward and create good things.
Well, I think you're right, Jim, and sometimes when maybe we get into a position where sometimes we're questioning our own decisions,
yeah,
they believe in us more than we do sometimes, you know.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, I think it's, you know, and I tell you what, for me, I've been blessed. I mean, I go away in the summer months. Gerry, I go away for all summer.
Yeah.
Now this past year was different because I'd come home and do the radio show once a week, but having Adira in my life has been incredible, and you know, it's and the other chapter that we're seeing right now, both myself and her are having a lot of fun with our grandson Thomas, and that's another chapter that you evolve to, and having an incredible amount of fun with him and watching him grow and inspiring him to do things. You know, even at 3 years old, he'll soon be 3. Just watching him grow and encouraging him to do little things now that we're seeing, you know, like helping him get out there and enjoy life, and that, you know, have him eventually, probably, who knows, operate Igloo Lake Lodge. Hey, who knows?
You're right. I mean, I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old, and what I'm trying to do with them every day is to focus on the positive, you know. Sunshine. Think about things. I'm trying to shape their minds,
yeah,
and it's not an easy job, as you know. You have children as well, and I get them to focus. I do a thing called put my fist up, grab life, and now they joke with me, right?
Yeah.
Put my fist up. Oh yeah, Dad, grab life. But I mean, that's what it's all about.
It is. You know, you're inspiring them, and I have to commend you on that, Gerry. That's a wonderful thing to be able to have fun at the same time, and encourage them to not be afraid to try things that Mom and Dad are suggesting to you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so it's, you know, putting the effort into things and doing good at the same time. I mean, your children will never forget that, right? They're going to carry that onto their children.
Well, just a little point on that, and you know, we've been talking now for almost 42 minutes, so we'll clue it up in about 8 or 9 minutes. But effort. Let's conclude this. Two lovers of sales. Let's talk a little bit about that. I think that's where I'd like to end. You know, I think about the effort that I've put into my own sales career, and one of the things that I would do in the advertising business is actually meet with a client. I would pick the client that probably would give me the hardest time first. Not every salesperson does this, but I would pick that person because I knew if we had a new program or a new whatever, that person, not trying to be mean to me, would actually evaluate it on the fly, and it would make me have to adapt, so that if I went to someone else who I knew was a little more receptive, I would have all my questions answered. But I think ultimately, when I think back in my career, I didn't come out of university saying, I can't wait to cold call. Yeah. But what I came to love, Jim, was the ability to take a list of, say, 20 or 30 absolute cold prospects and move several of them into a funnel where they are interested in what the product that I have. Yeah. From a real estate perspective, I've always been intrigued by that. Give us some insight into how you operated and how you want your people to move the sales along.
Yeah. Well, I think we've already mentioned the word evolve and adapt. I think that's important, and every few months you're looking at that and where you want to go, and how is the industry evolving and adapting, and how you can keep at or ahead of the curve, right? So there's a formula that I use in life, and I share it with people, and it's E times I equals RW. And E is energy. So energy times I, which is ideas, equals real wealth. So you put your energy into creative ideas and innovation, and then from there you get this thing called success. So I'm always reaching out to people and encouraging them to try new things, but there's nothing that beats, even with technology and everything we're seeing around us today. Nothing beats that look in the eye and put out your hand and you shake that person's hand and say, Gerry, it's been great meeting you today. And by the way, here's my card. Is there anything I can do to help you in any kind of real estate transaction? Or maybe you might want to, if you're talking to someone with a fish camp business, same thing. And over an extended period of time, I'll never forget, I had to say this story about 30 years ago, or thereabouts, maybe 20 years ago. I had an offer, and I went to this gentleman's home who was then in business as long as me, 30 years. And I remember talking to him, and I gave him my offer, and he said, oh, okay, Jim, yes. Oh, and he said, just a second, now I got to take a call. His wife came around the corner, and he went around the corner. Yes, you want me to list your house when? Tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'll be there, okay. Well, then he came back over to the porch, he was talking to me, and his wife said, oh, you want on the phone again? And he went around the corner. It was Mike Finn, who was with Roller Page years ago. And I thought, my golly, he's gotten 2 listings since I've been here in the porch of this man's house. This is so cool. But he built up his business over 30 years with integrity, by putting energy into it, by developing relationships, right? The trust and the respect that he had in the community was unparalleled. And I thought, this is where I want to be in 30 years. Yeah. I want my phone to ring, and I want people to ask me to come to their home. But that doesn't happen with a magic wand. That happens by doing good every day of your life, by going out and being inspired about the good things that are happening in your community, by being involved in your community, by giving back to your community. All these things add up to success, and being innovative and creative and working with people that you like and you trust and you respect. These are the things that help you evolve and change. But right now in the fish camp industry, today, if you're driving around, some person is going to call me and know at all who they are. I'm not sure it's going to happen today, but it happened a couple of days ago, and it's happening frequently. People will review who I am and our family on the internet, and they call me to give me their visa number, and they tell me they want to come fishing with me next year. So they're giving me $2,500 of their money for a deposit, and I take that in trust, and I keep it, and we see them visit us next June, July, August, September. But when I started in the outfitting business almost 20 years ago as an owner, that was the one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to have people call me. How would that happen? That happens by putting solid energy into your business, by doing good, and having your staff become sort of salespeople. They go out and they talk to other people about the business. And with social media today, I mean, there's no limits to that, right?
Yeah.
So having great people working with you, treating them with respect, right? And recognizing their successes, patting them on the back, recognition. I think all those things are very important in anything you do in life, and I think whether it's charity or whether it's your business life, but yeah, it's been an amazing ride, and I'm looking forward to the next 20 years. I mean, someone asked me recently, when are you planning on retiring? I have no date. I am not interested in retiring. I'm interested in doing good in my community and in my business life.
What would you do in retirement when you think about it? If you shut off, I
don't know, but I heard a good analogy on retirement recently. Someone told me that retirement is similar to Christmas Day. You plan, like now, here we are, what is it, November the 26th? We're planning for Christmas now. We're getting in that, right? I know Dara's been getting the Christmas decorations out. We're getting ready. We're thinking about what gifts we're going to buy. How are we going to look after our grandson and our niece and nephew and my dad? How are we going to do these things and get ready, and her mom? We're getting all these things ready. We're going to prepare for Christmas. And then Christmas Day comes, and you get out, and then you open up the gifts, and it's done. It's over, right? We're celebrating the birth of Christ and all these great things too, not the description. But you prepare all these things for Christmas, and you get to this point where it happens, and now what do? Right? It's over. I think retirement is like that.
Yeah.
If you think there's a date and you think it's going to happen, and you get to it, life is about the journey. It's not the destination.
No.
All these different things I've done in my life, it's been the experience of going from A to B. It's not arriving at B. The best fun has been in the journey.
There's a good book actually called The Journey is the Reward. I read maybe 25 years ago. It's about the technology industry.
Yeah.
But I love the title. The Journey is the Reward.
On that, I got to bring attention to a book that you have here. Start with Why.
An incredible book.
I actually heard about this before the book was written. Simon Sinek actually did a TEDx talk.
Yeah.
And I would encourage anyone who's actually looking at this right now to go on YouTube and Google or search Simon Sinek, Start With Why.
Yeah, it's a great book. I can't put it down.
Probably the best video that I've ever seen. And the way he described, the concentric circles and starting with why. Every person in business, every person in sales, every person should read this book, shouldn't they, Jim?
Well, I should read it 2 and 3 times.
It's incredible. How great leaders inspire everyone to take action.
It's a great book. I love it, and I refer to it often. I can't put it down. I've had it now for about a year, and I keep referring back to it. And the reason I brought it out today was hoping that you would share it. I'm glad you did. Thank you. But it's about the why. Why do we do things in our life? Why? What makes our lifestyle and the people we attract in our life? Why does that happen? And it's about the relationships. It's about going out and inspiring people to find the things that inspire them. And that is a wonderful thing when you think of it. Being able to go out and do that and help people. Because there is a huge ripple effect with that.
Yeah.
They go out then and they help others. But that's a great book. I would recommend it to anybody to go out and to absolutely get a copy.
Well, related to helping people, one of the things that I've promised my wife, I said, after my experience with the why, which was incredibly intense when you're the chair of anything, as you know.
Yeah.
What I'm totally focused on right now is coaching hockey. I coach my boys in hockey.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I'm coaching Adam, so I've been doing Pee-wee, and then when Burton came, I've let my older son go on to other coaches. But I'll give you one thing that what I like doing at the end of a game is I go around and shake hands with each individual boy. Yeah. And actually there's 3 girls on our team as well. But just give me your hand, Jim. When you shook hands with me back then, one of the things that I think, to be a successful person, what's on the end of that handshake is so important. If it's weak, then there's reasons for that. But I'm trying to inspire the young kids when they shake hands. Click my hand.
I think there has to be a level of enthusiasm in the way that you promote yourself. You have to go out. We're our own billboard when we're meeting people, and we have that 30 seconds to a minute to create that first impression. So you're right. I mean, the handshake is important. The way we dress is important. I mean, the way that we smile, the way that we create the law of attraction with others. You know, train to be a part of success. I think you need to be portraying all of the little things that add up to the big thing. And you know, it's absolutely. I mean, that's part of your signature is your handshake.
Yeah.
And I think as North Americans, the people that are very successful in life, I mean, they have that common denominator. I think when they give you that handshake, they got that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
They got that, you know, they got that look in the eye, and that you can tell there's good there. You know, for the most part, and the people I know and I associate with, I can say that's a common denominator. Sure.
Well, you know, I got to tell you that this hour has gone extremely quickly for me. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been fun. Yeah, this is my first live Facebook event. I know you've done many. I think we've touched our subjects. I mean, we talked a lot about the entrepreneurship. We talked about sales. We talked about the community and being involved, and you know, the Rotary four-way test. We talked about Hope Air, the CLB. The Canadian Red Cross, another great organization, the YMCA that you talked about. I mean, all these things, you know, they say, by the way, that towards the end, there's four things that really matter to us. One is who we loved in our journey in life, who we became as a person, what we remembered, and who we helped. Who we helped. And I think that's significant. And Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, by golly, they do that really well. They go and they help. We have over 5,000 volunteer organizations. Think about that for a second. 5,000 volunteer organizations in this province. That's one organization for every 100 people. That speaks highly of how Newfoundlanders and Labradorians care about their community and helping others.
Absolutely fantastic, Jim. We're going to close up now, and I just want to say, you know, I've really, really enjoyed this. I read a book 25 years ago called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Great book. Everybody should get it.
Well, one of the interesting things about Napoleon Hill is he spent time chatting with entrepreneurs and actually never, you know, got paid for that, but he didn't write about it after the fact. So, I mean, 25 years ago, I had this idea to sit with people. But we never really had the medium, you know. For me to shoot it on a VHS camera and put it on a VHS tape, and then
well, today it's much easier, right?
What would I do then? Mail it out to somebody, you know? So this has been exciting for me, and I'll ask anyone who's watching if you are interested in me sitting with someone else, you know, like Jim and I have done. Send me a note, you know, and I'm going to ask Jim after we finish. You know, maybe there's some people that he would like me to sit with, because I think there's definitely a need in this community to have this kind of conversation. And I'm really excited about where the social media will take this after the fact.
Absolutely.
You know, I said to my wife's a teacher, you know, there's a stream of education within the senior high or high school that talks about careers. And I think entrepreneurship and sales are two things that get overlooked. And I think we as leaders in the business community need to try and figure out a way of getting that in there.
Yeah, you know? And it's been said that life is a sale.
Life
is a sale. I mean, you go through life, and it's important for us to have, you know, the ability to communicate with people, right? To help people. I mean, as realtors, I mean, you know, we have that duty of care that we go out and we represent people, make a purchase, which in most cases is the largest purchase that someone's going to make in their lifetime. So that's a pretty cool thing to be associated with. So, and in the fish camp business, you're meeting and creating relationships with different people. You know, the last year I had John Lahr in fishing with me.
Who's John Lahr?
John Lahr is the son of the great Burt Lahr, who was the lion in the first Wizard of Oz in the 1930s.
Really?
And John is a critic, a drama critic, who has won the Tony Award. Just finished a 16-page article with Al Pacino in the New Yorker magazine. So you never know who you're going to meet.
No.
But he picked our lodge, and he lives in London, England. He picked our lodge based on the testimonials that he's seen on the website. And he had a chance to go anywhere at all. But he came there. I asked him, so why did you pick our lodge? He said it was the testimonials that I've seen on your website. It's how you made people feel. How your people made people feel. That's why I wanted to go there. And that to me is significant. Yeah. And that gives me the knowledge and the understanding that what we're doing as a family, promoting Newfoundland and Labrador, is very positive, and we want to beat that drum of, you know, helping others come in and create memories and leave a legacy, so that hopefully my grandson or, you know, my nephew or others that are out there will duplicate that, and maybe others that have businesses. I mean, you know, me and you are carrying on here when we should end the show, but excited now what's ahead for January. We're going to be going to Boston and New York, promoting Newfoundland and Labrador as a destination for tourism. And so there's other great things going on in our real estate office, you know. So it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time right now in Newfoundland and Labrador. Definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Good to be with you, buddy.
Jim Burton.
It's great to be here, folks, and with this wonderful man. Gerry Carew is a great guy. I've known him for many years, a big contributor to the life and success of our community. And having the desire to get out and to talk to others in the community. If you think of anyone else that might want to get on and talk about sales and entrepreneurship, give Gerry a call or myself, and we'll make it happen. Gerry, you're a great guy, and I want to wish you Merry Christmas too, man. We're coming up less than a month away, eh?
Yes.
And one of the other books that I have there too, Gerry, is about Bruce Templeton. I think I bought some books recently from him, but what a great guy he is. Bruce Templeton doing, I think his third book now. Each one of those books, he was at Costco yesterday signing books. Each one of those books immunizes 3 children with the vaccine for polio. So a great guy doing good in his community, amazing man. Hey, you know what? He'd be a great guy for you to interview.
Yeah, you're right.
Bruce Templeton.
I've met him several times.
Great guy for you to sit down. What a wonderful man he is. Past humanitarian of the Red Cross, an exceptional Rotarian, just a great man doing great things in his community. But I think Bruce Templeton would be a great guy for you to interview.
Appreciate that, Jim. So, ladies and gentlemen, really appreciate you spending some time with us. This is going to live on in Facebook, on my feed and Jim's feed. Hopefully we can share it somehow with the educational system in Newfoundland and Labrador and inspire some people, Jim. That would be my desire.
Yeah, me too. I mean, get out there and for us to try and inspire people to do the things that inspire them. And I think that's the fiduciary duty that all entrepreneurs have, is to encourage growth in our province by, helping others get to a level that they can achieve the things that they need to achieve. And I think that's very important for us as we go forward in life. No matter where you're living, you should be doing that. So, so many things we didn't talk about that, that we could go on for an extended time, but I think we've had a great show today, Gerry, and I commend you for going out and making this happen. You're a great guy.
Appreciate that. And, you've inspired me being I've been interested in entrepreneurship and sales for years, and I had the privilege for 25 years of sitting with entrepreneurs every day in the advertising world, and I've often thought that the conversations that we have inspired me and made me successful. Why not share that with people on this medium?
Well, I don't know how long we've been here today on talking, but it's been like it seems that I didn't know. I mean, I thought, well, 5-10 minutes we'll cover everything. But we're finishing up, and we could still continue on. But that's a good thing. That's for another day. I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on and have a chat with you. And it's all good. Great things ahead. We're very blessed to be living in a country called Canada, and have the health care and the right to vote. Things that we take for granted. The day-to-day activities that we have. It's a privilege and an honor when you talk to other people that come to our country from other places of origin that they don't have those luxuries, right? And so we're very privileged, and we're very privileged to have the leadership we have in our province, leading our province right now. Dwight Ball, we're making some difficult decisions that's long term beneficial for the people, and also in Justin Trudeau. Very great country. I'm privileged to be here with you today, and I'm delighted that there's going to be some good people interviewed in the near future with you, Gerry. Take care of yourself, buddy.